Right now, as you listen to this, there's a muscle in your chest that's working with a tenacity that literally defines your entire existence. It's the heart, a singular, specialized machine that just refuses to rest. Think about the scale of it. Your heart contracts at least 100,000 times every single day. That's roughly equivalent to a heartbeat occurring every time you blink, if you were to stare, unblinking, for 24 hours straight. Now, most muscles in your body, like your biceps or your legs, eventually succumb to fatigue. They burn out after a tough workout and need downtime to clear out metabolic waste. But the cardiac muscle, made up of these unique cells called cardiomyocytes, maintains this relentless, rhythmic pace from the moment you were an embryo until the very last moment of your life. It doesn't pause for sleep. It doesn't stop for a break. It's a biological paradox. How on earth does a muscle operate continuously for decades without suffering the kind of exhaustion that would destroy any other tissue in the body? Take a moment and just press your fingers against the inside of your left wrist, or maybe the carotid artery on your neck. What you're feeling right now is the pulse, the tangible, physical manifestation of your heart's work. Each surge is actually a physical pressure wave rippling through your arterial walls, causing them to bulge and recoil. It feels simple, but this fist-sized organ is an absolute marvel of engineering. For a healthy young adult, this pump sustains 60 to 100 beats per minute. But, of course, biology is rarely uniform. Professional endurance athletes, for instance, often have a resting rate closer to 40 beats per minute. Their heart is essentially a high-efficiency industrial turbine. It moves a massive volume of blood with fewer revolutions, achieving a level of power and precision that leaves the average organ behind. This content is not medical advice or diagnosis. Please see a healthcare professional or seek care. Think of your blood as a vast logistics network. Its sole purpose is to hold the raw materials of survival, primarily oxygen, to every single corner of your body. The cycle begins the instant you inhale. Oxygen enters the lungs, and your blood absorbs it with the efficiency of a sponge. Then the heart acts as the central hub. It simultaneously dispatches oxygen-rich blood to the extremities while pulling in spent blood from the body's periphery. This is a synchronized double-loop system. And why does this matter? Because every single cell, from the neurons in your cortex to the nerves in your toes, demands a constant fuel supply. If the delivery trucks stop, the system crashes. But this network does more than just deliver. It manages waste. After unloading oxygen, the blood collects carbon dioxide, a kind of metabolic exhaust. The heart then pushes this load back to the lungs to be purged. In less than 60 seconds, your heart cycles your entire blood volume through this intricate circuit. It's a masterpiece of flow and logistics. Listen carefully to your chest. That lub-dub rhythm isn't actually the sound of muscle fiber contracting. It's the sound of heavy biological valves slamming shut. These are the heart's one-way security gates. First, the tricuspid and bicuspid valves separate the upper chambers, the atria, from the lower ventricles. When the ventricles fire, these valves snap shut to prevent backflow, creating that first lub sound. This creates the pressure necessary to force blood into the arteries. Then comes the dub. As the ventricles relax, the pulmonary and aortic valves slam shut to ensure that blood, having just been ejected, doesn't retreat back into the heart. It's a mechanical lockstep. Open, fill, seal, squeeze. A rhythm maintained with the precision of a Swiss watch, repeating tens of thousands of times a day. Here is where the biology actually defies expectation. Most muscles in your body are slaves to the brain. They require a nervous signal to fire. If you sever the nerve connection to your hand stops moving. But the heart, it possesses its own internal autonomous electrical spark. It controls its own tempo. If you were to remove a heart from the body and bathe it in an oxygenated, nutrient-rich solution, it would continue to beat. It doesn't need the brain to tell it when to contract. It houses an internal engineer that dictates its own rhythm, an invisible circuit board pulsing within the tissue itself. This is where the biology gets really fascinating. The spark actually starts in a place you wouldn't expect. Tucked into the wall of the right atrium is the sinoatrial node, or the SA node. This is your body's natural pacemaker. It's a cluster of specialized cells that don't just conduct electricity, they generate it. They possess what biologists call a funny current, a leaky membrane that slowly allows positive ions to trickle into the cell. This causes the cell's voltage to drift upward until it hits a critical threshold, triggering a massive electrical discharge. This discharge spreads across the heart like a wave, forcing the muscle to contract. It's an auto-generating fire, a constant flickering flame that dictates the tempo of your life. Now, the signal doesn't just fire and vanish, it travels a precise highway. Once the SA node triggers the atria to pump, the signal hits the atrioventricular, or AV node. Here, the heart performs a crucial trick. It creates a delay. It holds the signal for a tiny fraction of a second, letting the ventricles finish filling with blood before they contract. This micropause is vital for efficiency. After the delay, the electrical impulse shoots down the bundle of His and branches out through the Purkinje fibers. These fibers act as high-speed copper wires, delivering the shock directly to the ventricular walls, making sure the heart squeezes from the bottom up, forcing blood effectively into the lungs and body. The more I looked into this, the more I realized the heart isn't just a pump. It's a sophisticated electrical circuit. It's an organ that has internalized the control system, separating its function from the conscious mind. It functions with a level of independence that feels almost alien compared to the rest of our anatomy. It's a closed-loop system of electricity and hydraulics, completely self-regulated and profoundly efficient. But why does it never tire? If you pushed your arm in the same repetitive motion for 24 hours, you'd be screaming in agony from the lactic acid buildup. The heart avoids this through sheer metabolic dominance. Cardiomyocytes, the cells of the heart, are packed with mitochondria, the energy powerhouses of the cell. They have roughly 10 times the density of mitochondria found in skeletal muscle. Furthermore, they're fuel flexible. They can burn glucose, fatty acids, and even lactate for energy. They're essentially endurance engines designed to run on whatever fuel is available, preventing the buildup of waste that causes fatigue in other muscles. They're built for a lifetime of intensity. This internal pacemaker isn't static, though. It's reactive. Your autonomic nervous system constantly nudges the SA node. When you're chased by a dog or sprint for a bus, your sympathetic nervous system floods the heart with adrenaline, forcing the funny current to leak ions faster, which accelerates the heart rate. Conversely, when you sleep, the parasympathetic system taps the brakes. This constant modulation changes your blood pressure, the force of your blood against arterial walls. Think of your arteries as a system of garden hoses. Systolic pressure is like turning the tap on full blast, the surge of the heart's force. Diastolic pressure is the residual tension in the hose when the tap is only trickling. The heart scales this output seamlessly, from a whisper to a roar in seconds. But when this delicate coordination falters, the consequences are stark. Imagine the precision required for this system to work 100,000 times a day without a single misfire. If the AV node fails to delay the signal, or the Purkinje fibers misfire, the rhythm shatters, a condition known as arrhythmia. In these cases, doctors must intervene with artificial pacemakers, tiny metallic devices that mimic the exact electrical pulse of that original SA node. It just highlights how vulnerable we are when our internal engineer stumbles. This information is not medical advice or a diagnosis. Please see a healthcare professional or seek care. The heart remains a testament to biological endurance. It's a tireless machine that performs a complex, high-energy task without ever demanding a moment of downtime. We've looked at the 100,000 daily contractions, the mitochondria-dense cells that refuse to fatigue, and the SA node's funny current that keeps the beat. These aren't just biological features, they're the fundamental mechanisms that keep the boundary between life and stillness intact. Your heart beats not because it's told to, but because it's engineered to sustain itself, a continuous, autonomous rhythm that persists whether you're aware of it or not. As you sit here, the cycle continues, a silent internal pulse that has been repeating second by second from the very beginning and will continue until the very last beat.